Welcome back to Talk Jamaica. We are streaming live at talkjamaicaradio.com and also on Carib Rhythms Radio. My name is Sanjay Lewis and my co-host this afternoon is Ralston Chamberlain. Talk Jamaica continues its focus on candidates who are vying to become members of parliament in our series on the ballot. Today we head to the constituency of St. Andrew Eastern, now held by the People's National Party's Andre Hylton. His challenger is the Jamaica Labour Party's Fayval Williams. But before we speak to him, here's Talk Jamaica producer Volney Barrett with more.
This is On the Ballot at Talk Jamaica Radio Election Feature. This week we focus on the constituency of St. Andrew Eastern. St. Andrew Eastern was among the first set of constituencies created in 1944. The People's National Party, PNP, won the seat 10 times, with the Jamaica Labour Party, JLP's 6. It was first won by the Jamaica Labour Party's Edward Fagan, who polled 5,235 votes, to the People's National Party, PNP's Norman Manley, who polled 4,858. In 1949, the PNP's Norman Manley copped 10,980 votes, defeating the JLP's Edward Fagan 9,925 votes. In the 1959 election, the constituency was changed to St. Andrew East Urban and Suburban. In 1962, the People's National Party increased its lead. They copped 12,926 to the JLP's Wilton O'Hill's 7,108. In 1967, the constituency was again renamed to St. Andrew East Central. The PNP's Norman Manley polled 6,768 to the JLP's Stafford Owen, who polled 4,102. In 1976, the constituency was again changed to St. Andrew Eastern. The JLP got its second hold of victory in 1980 when Edmund Bartlett polled 9,231 to the PNP's Roy Barrett 4,081. In 1993, the PNP again retook the seat. It was the JLP's Dr. St. Aubin Bartlett who broke the 9-year drought for the party when he defeated the PNP's Collington Clark. In 2011, the PNP's Andre Hylton defeated the JLP's Sophia Longmore to win the seat for the PNP. When the next election is called, political newcomer, the JLP's Fayval Williams, will challenge the incumbent Andre Hylton. Andre Hylton says work is advanced for the university town. He says they've received funding from the Tourism Enhancement Fund, which will facilitate the designs and consultation for the university town. He has also awarded scholarships and grants numbering close to 3,000 to students in the constituency of St. Andrew Eastern. This made possible through the Constituency Development Fund. Meanwhile, Fayval Williams says she is disappointed with Member of Parliament Andre Hylton's efforts towards bringing to the Parliament's attention the challenges faced by several communities in the area. Williams pointed out that despite the rise in property taxes, the residents are not seeing their taxes at work. She says infrequent garbage collection, along with proper maintenance of sidewalks and poor road infrastructure, are major concerns for the residents. Pundits have said that this is a seat to watch when the next election is called. Who will take it? It will all be decided on the ballot.
Thank you very much, Volney. We now have online the sitting Member of Parliament, Andre Hylton. Good afternoon, Mr. Hylton. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to all your listeners. How are you today?
Good, thanks. Let me jump right into it, and I want you to just give our listeners an overall view of the work that you're doing in the constituency and what is it that should propel them to re-elect you as the Member of Parliament.
Well, let me first of all thank you for the opportunity to share with you and your listeners. To tell you what I've been doing in the constituency will take certainly a long time, but I'll give you a general overview.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to Eastern St. Andrew 8 years ago as a caretaker, when Dr. Aubin Bartlett was a sitting Member of Parliament, I went to all the communities and assessed, based on an engagement with the community, what their major challenges were. And there were, first of all, infrastructure, lack of infrastructure development, social interventions, and opportunities for growth and economic opportunities for growth and development. Mm-hmm. So being understanding the major issues. I mean, there are roads and different things that threaten lives and property over the many years that was just neglected, and so we decided to deal with that head on. So we were able to replace a bridge that was washed away almost 30 years. We were able to rebuild a gully that has washed away many homes and threatened life and other property that has been there just decaying, the floods after flood, hurricane after hurricane, the Goldsmith Villa Gully. We rebuilt the Tavern to Kentire Bridge, which people never thought would have happened. Then we went to areas like roads and roads that have not been rehabilitated. For instance, Mona Heights, which was built in 1957 when Norman Manley was the MP. Many roads that have never been totally rehabilitated. We did that. Almost 90% of the roads have been totally rehabilitated. We have a roads in Augustown like Bedward Crescent, which over 60 years have not been redone. We redid that road, and I can go on and go on and go on. Places like Moonlight City off Mountain View, which is in the Water Hills area, never had roads, and we built road there for the first time. So, and as I said, I can go through a list of things that we have done in terms of infrastructure development. Sidewalks. We built many sidewalks. The disabled community community with many disabled persons living in Sashire Village, who attends the Sir John Golden Hospital, that traverse that Golden Avenue corridor. We built sidewalks all the way from down in Tavern all the way up to Papine to facilitate those persons using wheelchairs. Mm-hmm. We built sidewalks in Tavern. We built sidewalks on Mona Road. Sidewalks in Augustown, and so on. We built the sidewalks in Mountain View all the way down to the bottom. So we have done a lot in terms of the infrastructure side of things, and there's a lot more to be done.
But Mr. Hylton, your challenger, Fayval Williams, she mentioned that there's a disconnect between you and the real issues on the ground. And one of the things that she highlighted is Papine. And she said that Papine is one of the major towns in the constituency. But when you look at what it was 4 years ago to what it is today, there's not much difference. How do you respond to that?
Well, I believe that first of all, the opponent, the JLP, I think, needs to spend a little more time and inform herself on what the real issues are and the accomplishments. It's easy to say nothing has been done. You need sidewalks without finding out what sidewalks have been constructed in the last 3.5, 4 years. Mm-hmm. When we think of Papine, remember Papine is now being looked at as not just a regular town that deals with commerce, but is going to incorporate a university town, because we have 6 tertiary institutions that surround the Papine community. Mm-hmm. What has been done with Papine to date? We have repaired, we have reconstructed or we have renovated the bathroom facilities in the Papine market. We have built sidewalks all the way from VTDI through the Papine, Gordontown Road, through the Papine Square, which gave pedestrians a proper place to walk. Because what happened before is that you just move out of the road into the parking lot without knowing which area is designated for pedestrians. We did proper sidewalks through the Papine Square, which defined the roadway and also gave pedestrians somewhere to walk. We have installed a traffic signal which has helped tremendously with the traffic congestion and the safety of our students and our residents in Papine Square, managing the traffic down to Golden Avenue. So to say that nothing has been done with Papine, it is wrong. We have done repairs to the Papine, to the minor repairs to the Papine Park. As we speak, the University of Technology, through the Business Department headed by Dr. Carl Archer, along with PDAC and other groupings, are designing and consulting the various communities on this whole university town, which incorporates the Papine Square being the center of it and the surrounding communities. You can't just get up and knock down, and you have to have a firm design which is accepted by all, presented by all, and then being protected by the lawmakers. So they are now, the community saying, this is what we want our town to look like, and then everything that's going to be designed or approved thereafter has to fit in this macro plan that is being developed. Yes, so you don't just get up tomorrow morning and say, oh, I'm going to build a new park. We could have done that. We could have built a new park. TEF was willing to support, to fund the park. But it has to fit into this overall design, which we have just gotten the funding to deal with the design, and of course consultation, which I just completed.
All right, let us look back over the last 4 years since you've been Member of Parliament, and what would you say is your most major achievement over the 4 years?
Well, as I said, where I started, I think the infrastructure transformation is the major things, where we have built roads, we have rehabilitated roads, we have dealt with sewage infrastructure, we have built bridges, we have rehabilitated the entire Mona Heights community, built new roads. I think those would have been a major achievement as a Member of Parliament in Eastern St. Andrew.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let me. There are two issues I want you to look at, Member of Parliament Hylton, and I'm going to start with the first one, and it's the issue of crime, which seemed to be affecting a lot of the university students. We saw where a student from UTech was murdered. I have lived in that constituency, and I know that this issue of the university students seemingly being under attack has been one that has not been under control, irrespective of the MPs that have been in the area. What are your plans, yes, to ensure that we get all stakeholders on board to see how best we can protect our students?
Well, let's start with the most recent.
Mm-hmm.
Just yesterday, 4 p.m. in Mona Heights at the community center, Gerber Avenue, mm-hmm. I organized for the Minister of National Security to meet with the residents of Mona Heights to discuss the very same issue. We had presenters, the police, we had the JLP caretaker, we had the G2K opposition junior opposition spokesperson, myself, and the general community to speak about strategies in dealing with this issue of crime against in that community. Now, prior to that, we have had similar meetings with the Hope Pastors Association, which, you know, the young lady was brutally murdered in Hope Pastures. Prior to that, we convened a meeting with the head of all the associations in that community, which is Karachi, Long Mountain, University Crescent, Hope Pastures, Mona Heights. We did a meeting at Church of Ascension about 6 months ago with Minister Bunting again, bringing to light some of the issues affecting the community. Most of what was presented was addressed. There are a few others which are still not addressed, and there is work in progress. My job as a Member of Parliament is to lobby on behalf of my constituents. So when my constituents have a challenge, I have to go to the respective minister and say, look, my constituents have this problem. In fairness to Minister Bunting, he has been very responsive. At very short notice, he came to the meeting yesterday, and we had an excellent meeting discussing some of these same security issues. Now, just to say, if you look at Eastern St. Angela, I'm not sure of your age or your experience, but when you think of an area like Mountain View Avenue, you speak of Jarrett Lane, and you speak of Jake's Road, and you remember the war that used to happen there, the murders, that has transformed. When you speak of Augusttown, yes, when you speak of Standpipe, we don't have no issues in those areas anymore. And I'm not saying I am the only reason why it has been reduced. But my approach, first of all, and I must commend the JLP opposition when I was caretaker, we took the approach that we are not going to promote any agitation among political groupings. We hugged each other when we saw each other in public, and the public was saying, as oftentimes said, that this is how we should live. See how Mr. Ballot and Mr. Hylton are friends and them talk and them nice. So we set that trend. PMP people can go into JLP areas, JLP people can go into PMP areas. So we have set that. Now, once we establish that, so there's no this kind of tribal politics. The next thing that I have done is to work with the various groups in the community. Recently, just during this year, we decided in Augusttown that the PMI, the CDC, the SDC, the Sizzler Youth Foundation, various groupings came together, parenting group, the homeowners, and we decided church. We decided that this crime thing can't work. And we brought everybody to the table, and we decided that we are going to work together to solve it. What was also different about it is that we got the youths from the different corners who think themselves as corner people, because in Augusttown we have about 10 different corners. And we brought all of them and had a discussion with Senior Superintendent Fitz Bailey to say, look, we want a safe community. So if you have seen something happening in your area, you need to bring it to the fore, because this is a partnership. Since then, we had a one-month celebration in Augusttown where we celebrated 177 years of Augusttown existence. A beautiful month of celebration. Sizzler Youth Foundation was very involved, and I have to give comment Sizzler and his group in bringing about a great month of celebration. We had no incident except one gunshot was fired the last week of August. And the person who apparently fired the shot had to hand himself into the police because the people decided it's not going to happen. I'm not saying that the place is the safest place in the world, but we have come a far way because what? I have decided that I'm going to use my office as Member of Parliament to facilitate bringing all those groups together so that we can have a frank discussion of how we solve the problem, and I'll also allow each person to feel a part of the discussion.
Well, we have somebody from your constituency who is listening, and the person sent a question to say, coming from the meeting that you had yesterday, what are the action items and the timelines?
Well, I never stayed the entire time of the meeting because I had another function. But a couple of things that is being discussed in the Mona Heights here. One, crime is not a police problem alone. Yes, we have to approach it from a holistic point of view. The residents of Mona and other communities, along with the police, along with the church, along with the youths, all the various groupings have to band together in tearing down this monster of crime. Now, one of the things that have been promoted, and I'm not saying that the police will never have enough cars to police the various areas, because we have a real issue in terms of resources. One of the proposals has been put forward, and I have been promoting this for the last 4 years, saying to residents, use your purchasing power to bring more of what you need in your community. So we got a company like King Alarm who came in and made a proposal to say, if you, the residents of Mona, give us an added amount of business, we will provide you with CCTV cameras at various entrance points in the Mona Heights community. And this is police who will monitor, private sector who will provide, residents who will use their normal spending power to bring about more protection. I'm not saying to solve all the problems, but this is the kind of cooperation that we believe is necessary at this time to assist in bringing the crime to an end. So in terms of what was done, in terms of a timeline, we made certain proposals. This the residents will now have to discuss and decide on how they want to deal with it. The minister and the commissioner of police have placed added resources in the area and not bored since that awful situation. We have not had any incidents. That is one of the first things we're going to be doing. But it's not going to, the issue of crime, especially the petty crimes where people are robbing cell phones and stealing persons' laptops, it's not going to happen. It's not going to be solved unless we really have all the persons on board, including the students themselves.
All right, Mr. Hylton, we're almost out of time, and I gather that quite a number of persons from your constituency, they are listening. So I wanted to, pundits are saying that this seat is a seat to watch, and it may be very close when the next election is called.
Why do you think so? Why do you think so?
Well, based on what we're seeing on the ground. Now, I wanted to tell the persons listening, why is it that they should vote for you and convince them to actually go out and vote for you in the next election?
The reason why they should vote for me is because first of all, I'm a businessman for over 30 years who was never involved in politics. I'm a philanthropist who believes in Jamaica and has always given back to the community, from sending thousands of children to school to building various community projects. So where I come from is about Jamaica. I'm in love with Jamaica. I believe in Jamaica. I want to help to build Jamaica. I believe the People's National Party is the best platform to perform my Jamaican mission on. And I have worked tremendously hard. I've made a tremendous sacrifice working with the people in Caesar and St. Andrew to have created some of the transformational things that we have seen so far. The mission has just started, and we want the opportunity to be able to complete the things that we have started. I would love to see them giving me that opportunity to develop a university town, which is the first of its kind in the Caribbean, in the Papine area, is a mission that is on its way and close to coming to fruition. We want to complete those things. To provide employment, myself as a young person started business at 19 and know what it is to start business with nothing. I can help the young people in my constituency, and this is what I'm going to be focused on in the next term, to help our young entrepreneurs to get into the business to provide employment and empower themselves. So I would like the opportunity to represent Eastern St. Andrew in the Parliament for the next 5 years, and I would like the support of the constituents.
All right, Mr. Hylton, we want to thank you for having joined us here on Talk Jamaica, and we look forward to hear from you about the plans that you have after the next election, if and when you are re-elected. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the opportunity, and good evening to all your listeners.
All right, listeners, you heard him there. Is Andre Hylton. He's a PMP's Member of Parliament for St. Andrew Eastern, giving us really an overview of the work that he has been doing and what he plans to do when he is re-elected. One of the things that he has pointed out to us is that he intends, when re-elected, is to focus on the issues of unemployment in the constituency. He spoke to us about the fact that he has work with a lot of partners to ensure that the constituency is safe for the university students. And he said it's not something that can be done overnight. It requires all partners to be on board. And so, listeners, we're now joined online by the challenger, Mrs. Fayval Williams. She's the JLP caretaker for the constituency of St. Andrew Eastern, and she's seeking to unseat Andre Hylton. Good afternoon, Mrs. Williams, and welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much.
All right. Mr. Hylton was just on, and he gave us an overview of the progress that he has been making in the constituency. You, by no means, is seeking to unseat him. If you could point out to our listeners, Mrs. Williams, what are the problems that you have gone in the constituency and have seen and have assessed?
Okay, thank you for that question. St. Andrew Eastern has to be viewed in the context of having regional universities and teaching hospital, the Mona Reservoir, large student population, many businesses, a large middle class, a rich history, has a large market, the Papine market. Music is a mainstay of the community as well, sporting activity. So there are lots of positive in St. Andrew Eastern. On the negative side, these are the issues that people wake up to every day that make life, not as enjoyable as it could have been. And these issues, high on the list, is the high unemployment, especially among the young people. There are concerns in every community about safety and security. Across the constituency as well, roads are in need of repair. There's garbage that's not collected with regularity, street lights that do not work, a market that floods when it rains, and massive erosion in some communities. So these are some of the issues that residents face every day when they wake up. And, some of them have been long-standing, that they've been crying out for help from the authorities. They've been crying out for solutions. I think that would go to answer your question in terms of what it is that I observe when I walk into these communities.
All right.
And if I could, if you were, say, the elections are called tomorrow morning, Mrs. Williams, and you were elected as the Member of Parliament, having highlighted these and having seen these, what would be some of the concrete solutions, yes, that you would bring to these issues?
All right. The issues, when you look at them, some you can divide them up into what can be done in the near term, what can be done in the medium term, what can be done in the long term. In the near term, in terms of safety and security, I've gone to several community meetings where residents have not only expressed their concerns, but they have brought strategies. I just yesterday was at a community meeting. We were talking about strategies. I did a presentation. So there to help residents at the individual level and at the community level to improve their feeling of safety and security. Just as an example, Ellison Flats, a community where on the road from the university gate down to Ellison Flats, there have been several reports of students being robbed or held up on their way home, in the late afternoon. An issue of putting a couple surveillance cameras in strategic spots to help with deterring criminals from holding up students, ensuring that the street lights there are adequate. There's a dark spot that's there. These are things that can be done in the very near term to begin to give residents a feeling that someone cares, that there is someone who will be working on getting solutions to these problems. So that's just an example. St. Andrew Eastern as well has a large population of persons with disability. They require mobility. If you look at the sidewalks, again, in that section leading from the university down to Cheshire Village, where many of them live, while some of the sidewalk is paved, you have obstacles in the way, light poles are in the way, working to get these removed so that persons with disability can move around unimpeded. If you come up to Papine, the market that's there, when it rains, it floods. There are so many people who use that market to, in terms of selling their produce and people who come to buy. The fix to the market is not nuclear science. It is something that's doable. We just need to harness the power of the persons in charge, get them to focus on it and fix it. I've heard, millions of dollars bandied around as a fix. I don't think so. I think resources can be used more efficiently to fix that so that the vendors and persons who go to purchase have a habitable place to be when it rains. Parenting workshops can happen as well to help persons in the constituency to become better parents. That's addressing some of the social issues there. There's been, since I've been there, I've seen peace management initiatives. These should be continued and improved upon, and with greater frequency and regularity. In the area of sports, I've been a big sponsor of sporting activities across several communities. Sporting activities bring communities together. It lends discipline to the participants in the sports, because they have to get up, they have to go to practice, they have to be there on time, and it's good for their growing up. I've been a big supporter of sports, and will continue to find sponsorship to help various sporting teams to buy their gears, to provide for bus fares, to provide for, refreshments, and so on and so forth. So there are a number of initiatives that can happen in the short term, where people can begin to see action and activity and begin to build a confidence in the representative, build a confidence in the institutions that are there to serve the constituency. Of course, there are longer term issues that are going to require resources to be found wherever it is, whether it be from agencies, developmental agencies, the government, or wherever, to bring to bear on the community. In the longer term, St. Andrew Eastern is a constituency that can provide national leadership with our universities that are there. It begs out for leadership in that way.
Let me ask you, Ms. Williams, because you are a well-established business individual. Why is it that you would leave your business, so to speak, to enter representational politics, which some may consider a dog-eat-dog industry?
Well, I don't see politics as that. I see politics as a management issue. It's a country with resources that we're managing. Yes, there's an economic side and there's a social side, unlike a business that might primarily just have an economic side to it.
Right.
But I take politics very seriously, because you're talking about impacting the lives, the quality of lives of people who live in this country, including myself. And so the people who enter it ought to enter with a certain, mission zeal to do their very best for the country in terms of managing it, providing that leadership, in terms of managing the affairs of the country financially, providing the high level of governance that we're all crying out for in Jamaica. And I think that, so when I think of politics, I don't think of it as dog eat dog. I think of it as a way to contribute to better management of this country that we all love and want to see get to the next level. We want to see progress. We want to see higher levels of employment. We want to see lower levels of crime. We want to see our schools produce better results. We want to see our people excel. And the potential is there. It needs to be harnessed. And there are things that we can do beginning at the governance level that will start to get people to become more confident in the institutions that serve this country.
Your challenger, or your opponent, I must say, was on a few minutes ago, and one of the things that we asked him was about the university town. Yes? And I realized you're quoted in saying that it's disappointing that over the past 4 years a more aggressive approach to development has not been taken. But one of the things that he said is you have to have consultation. It's a process and it can't happen overnight. Is it that you're rushing this process?
How long has the university been there? We've had a university for a long time, yes. Right? We've had the UWI, we've had CAST, now the University of Technology. We've had the Papine Township. It's been there for a while, right? Mr. Hylton has been the MP for the last 4 years. Yes, things take time, but 4 years is a long time. I would have loved to have seen even the beginnings of calling together the various stakeholders to even vision what this thing will look like, this university township will look like, and begin the process that way. I'm sure if you do a survey and you ask people what it is, not many people will know what the vision is for this thing. 4 years is a long time not to have developed a vision, communicated well enough and gotten the buy-in from all the stakeholders that you need to get the buy-in from. A university township is a wonderful thing. I've lived in at least 2 university townships outside of Jamaica. Mm-hmm. They are pleasant to be in, to walk in. The interaction that you have with students is, it's uplifting, it's engaging. Students are here. They have a demand for a lot of different services that the communities can provide. That's how you get this relationship going, and you get the economic benefit into the communities, and you get a lot of businesses developing around it, and it makes it all pleasant and well for everyone to live in. So I fully support it, but I'd love to see us move a lot faster in getting it into place.
All right. The Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, that is located in that same constituency. And I've been there a few times. And to be very honest, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Are there any plans, should you become Member of Parliament, to tackle that center? Right.
That and other centers, you're probably aware that there is another center across Papine as well for, that deals with persons with disability. Yes. And St. Andrew Eastern has, based on studies I've seen, the largest population of persons with disability. And so it ought to be a focus of any person who occupies the position of Member of Parliament in terms of finding resources to upgrade the physical infrastructure that's there, as well as, the people infrastructure. That should be at the top of the list as well. In Cheshire Village, that is close by, many persons with disability live there. One of the things that we could do is to bring an architect, people who are in the building industry, to look at how can we expand that facility for persons with disability, and how can we expand it in a way that they could also benefit from having student housing that would generate some economic resources for them, so that they can have something sustainable for their own well-being as well. So there are a lot of issues and areas that can be examined, worked on, improved, but it requires you to have a vision of what it is that we want for St. Andrew Eastern.
I want to come to this issue, Mrs. Williams, of the squatter settlement in front of the hospital, because you are on record saying that you believe that the community should be relocated. The Member of Parliament is not convinced of that, and as I indicated to Mr. Hylton, I'm from that very community that sits across from the hospital, and this is an issue that has been going on for years, where respective MPs and challengers come in and say, oh, we need to relocate the community. And what we realize is that the community has been expanding. The people are building large infrastructures, concrete housing. How do you plan, yes, if elected, to deal with that settlement, because we also are aware that the university might end up losing status with that seemingly sore eye sitting there.
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that because we have a problem, not just in St. Andrew Eastern, but across Jamaica, where you have communities that are not regularized, they're not properly planned. The land titling issue is not dealt with. And I think that we need to deal with the issue, not just on a community level, but in terms of a policy at the highest level. That community was allowed to develop in an unregularized fashion. There are people there with their lives. They've been there for a while, and I fully recognize that. My hope, my wish, my dream, my mission for persons in that community is for them to have proper homes, with 2 or 3 bedrooms, a living dining room, a proper kitchen, and all the proper facilities that other people in other communities enjoy. It's not an easy process when you talk about change, but we have to get together as a community with the university, with the governmental authorities, the regulators, with the residents in the community to look at what is the best solution for all involved. Obviously, you have to give the residents something to hold on to, meaning, okay, this is what I'll be getting in this is what I can look forward to. In terms, what I'm getting at is we can't just say the university needs the land or it's going to lose its status. Yes, that is a big issue, but we also have to provide for the citizens, the residents in that community. That's how you create a win-win situation. And that's how you let people know that there's care and consideration for their well-being.
All right, Ms. Williams, thanks. We have a question coming in. I have 2 final questions for you, but a listener just sent me a question that I want to ask you, and I want to clear the air on this one. The issue of dual citizenship, that has been a controversial topic, and we had a few persons who had to, renounce dual citizen and go back to the polls. The person is asking, are you a dual citizen?
I'm a Jamaican citizen.
And just a Jamaican?
Just a Jamaican citizen.
All right, thank you. I just want to clear the air for that listener. Now, the final question that I want to ask you, Ms. Williams, why should you be elected? I want you to tell those persons who are listening, because quite a number of persons are listening from your constituency.
Because I should be elected because I am a caring person. I am a businesswoman who has been in the business world for a couple of decades now and know what it is to execute on projects, to get out there and do the work, have accomplishments and make progress. I deeply care about St. Andrew Eastern. I live in St. Andrew Eastern, and so I know the issues from a community perspective, and the issues that I face in my community are no different from those that others face in their communities. And I've been into every single community in St. Andrew Eastern. I know what it is that people wake up to. I know the complaints. They are not things that cannot be solved. They just require a resolve. They just require somebody to commit to getting them fixed within a certain time frame. And again, I go back to so that let's start with taking on some of the easy things that can be fixed. Fix those and move on to the harder things, the medium term, the longer term things. I am a person with compassion who want to see St. Andrew Eastern and its residents prosper. I think there's a huge opportunity in student housing that I can use my business savvy to help communities around the university to grasp and hold. And I'm talking, Hermitage, the wider Augusttown, Tavern, Ellison Flats, and so on. I can help to bring resources to the community, and I'm thinking in those communities that you have huge, massive erosion that's happening, to get some of the international agencies to focus on helping to rebuild those communities. So I'm about action. I'm about ensuring that when people wake up on a day-by-day basis, there's greater certainty in their lives and in the community. I'm about building bridges, about enabling relationships, about helping citizens, residents to navigate their way through the maze of, government to be able to find those services and solutions that they need that will make life better, more comfortable, for all the residents in St. Andrew Eastern.
And I know Mrs. Williams, my co-host, had indicated that would have been the last question, but one of our listeners just put this question to us to put to you, and the question has to do with an Observer article that came out this morning with a senior JLP member, Pernell Charles, indicating or saying that sooner or later the people being hurt will have violent unrest. You are a member of the JLP's economic committee, right? And also, I'm sure you would not want to see any instability in the country or the economy. Is that this whole issue of violent unrest something that you would ascribe to or even allude to it being happening?
Okay. My focus currently is on St. Andrew Eastern in providing whatever support I can to persons in need, in leading from the front in terms of supporting activities that happen, in bringing health clinics to residents, in finding job opportunities, in providing training programs and all of that. That's my focus right now. In terms of the article that you have read, I am sure Mr. Charles is open to an interview to talk more about it and to ask questions. But St. Andrew Eastern, my goal is to help to move it forward in the capacity of the JLP caretaker to help to address the issues that people have been complaining about so that their lives can be better.
All right, listeners, you heard her there. She's Mrs. Fayval Williams. She's the JLP caretaker for Eastern St. Andrew. Mrs. Williams, we want to thank you for having joined us here on Talk Jamaica. We look forward to speaking to you again when that time comes, if and when you are elected.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks to the listeners as well.
Awesome. All right, listeners, we heard the plans that Mrs. Williams have for the community. She spoke about the whole issue of high unemployment, safety, and security, the collecting of garbage in the constituency, and what it is that she plans to do in terms of Eastern St. Andrew.